I have, as you know, I've been a big advocate of masks. So
Yep.
I felt that I should definitely talk about this in the news briefs about where we're looking at with masks and also about whether we think this is a good idea or not. So we have several states. This is a CNN article. It says these are the states required to wear a face mask in public. And this is dated today. So this is fairly recent, although this is an evolving story. Governors all over the place are instituting requirements for masks in certain areas, but the requirements are not all the same. So, for instance, in Connecticut, the state mask requirement applies to any residents who are in a public place over the age of 2 and can't maintain at least 6 feet of distance from other people. The same rules apply to people who use public transportation, taxis, or rideshare services. And then we go to Hawaii. Customers at essential businesses are required to wear cloth face coverings. Employees who interact with customers or goods at those businesses must wear them too. Those measures are in addition to keeping 6 feet distance and limiting the number of customers allowed in the establishment. And it adds you can face a fine of $5,000 or a year in jail if you violate this order. In Maryland, commuters and employees must wear face coverings while using Maryland public transit. It says employees and customers over age 9 must wear face coverings inside essential businesses, though adults accompanying young children should make an effort to get them to wear a mask if they're in an essential business, which I don't know how you enforce that, but that's part of the order. New Jersey says they were the first state to introduce such a mandate. New Jersey requires that customers and employees wear face mask coverings in essential businesses and construction sites. Businesses must provide them to employees and deny entry to any customers who refuse to wear them, though the customer can still pick up their food or medicine by alternate contact-free means, which not sure what that means, maybe a delivery option or something. I don't know. I don't know how you completely.
Yeah, if you drop it at somebody's doorstep, Instacart and what is it? Dash Pass or not Dashlane. That's anyway. These places that will deliver food from any restaurant for you, like Uber Eats. There's now like 5 of them. They have a no contact option where they can drop it right at your doorstep. Yeah.
It says also employees and commuters on New Jersey public transit and private carriers must wear face coverings while on trains, buses, light rails. And then we go to New York. All residents over age 2 must wear masks or face coverings when they're in public, and social distance is impossible. And Pennsylvania, masks, essential businesses must provide masks for their employees and require them to wear the masks.
Now, customers that's interesting because we've seen a lot of businesses like restaurants and stuff where for some reason employees are still not wearing masks. They're making hamburgers or whatever they're making, but they're not wearing masks. And it just seems insane that this is a very small thing that you can do in order to reduce your potential impact on other people, in order to slow the spread of coronavirus. But for some reason, we got the PPE to nurses and started to get it to police officers. But people at restaurants, they just haven't been wearing them and they're not being provided with them.
Yes, that's correct. And then Rhode Island also has a mask regulation for employees of essential businesses are required to wear face coverings unless that employee can continually maintain at least 6 feet of distance from other employees, which is an interesting provision. All employees, though, must wear face coverings when entering or exiting the building or using common areas. Businesses must provide materials for employees to make these masks. That doesn't require the customers to wear masks while inside the essential business, but it encourages businesses to post their own mask requirements. And I want to say I like Rhode Island's model the best. What I would propose is that we actually require businesses that are open to have their employees wear masks. I'm kind of on the edge about whether to make businesses provide the masks because masks are so easy to make with the shirt or something like that. Like that's all we're really asking is for a face covering. But I do have a friend who works at a business that is still deemed essential, which I don't know exactly why it's deemed essential, but it is deemed essential and it is open. And his employer will not allow him to wear a mask. And this is an issue we also have to look from a liberty angle, even if you're someone that is generally against government regulations. I believe that is incredibly unjust and incredibly unfair that this employer is making my friend requiring him not to wear a mask because they quote unquote think it will scare customers. When I think it's exactly the opposite. I feel much better when I go into a business, particularly when I'm going into a restaurant and people are masked up. That's just me. Maybe you don't. But at this point, I don't really care. The issue is, how can we allow people to be working and then say they're not allowed to wear a mask? That's where I draw the line, and I say that's ridiculous. And that's why I think we might need some more intervention on the side of states deciding this issue and saying, you know what, if you're working and you have contact with the public, you need to wear a mask. Again, I don't know about what I think about requiring customers to wear masks or requiring you to wear a mask when you're outside. I don't necessarily agree with the constitutionality of it, but I definitely think there's something to be said for saying that businesses have to do it. I kind of look at it like the no shoes, no shirts, what is it? No shoes, no shirt, no service kind of thing. This is kind of a universal guideline based on health requirements and things like that. So I don't know. What do you think, Pete? Ultimately,
well, again, we don't know how to evaluate this risk. We don't know how to measure this risk.
Forcing either. How do you come down on that?
Sorry about that. Is that where I come down on this is that this is a very inexpensive way that you can you can do something to reduce the risk to other people around you. The mask doesn't do as much for you as it does for the people around you. And so I think if you have a very individualistic way of looking at the world, it's easy to look at this and say, oh, I don't need to wear a mask. That's just because you're afraid. I've seen this from Republican politicians already, and it's insane. Rights come with responsibilities. And right now, we don't know what the danger is from coronavirus. We have no ability. We don't have enough testing. And so we have no ability to measure, quantify the risk that coronavirus actually actually poses. And so to say, well, because we don't know, it's okay for you to go around endangering other people, I think that's insane. You don't get to point what you think might be an unloaded gun at somebody. What's that?
It's absolutely insane, and it's discourteous. The bottom line is it's discourteous.
Yeah.
But it's always been discourteous. It's always been discourteous of people that are sick, running around all over the place without a mask on or covering their face in some way. We've talked about this in Asian countries. This is part of the culture, and this is one of the reasons that I feel Japan is in such better shape than we are, because Japan already is socially distant. They do wear masks. They wear them during flu season. If you're sick, you put on a mask. Now everybody's basically wearing a mask, and they've done very little else. In fact, they're way behind on testing. They're way behind on everything, but their numbers are much better than ours. You know what I mean?
Sure. And, look, we can say that you have a right to run around without a mask on. And I think in an abstract sense, that's true. But we also do have laws against a public nudity. Okay. We don't say that that's a violation of, say, your freedom of expression or your right to dress the way that you want to. So if in this case, we're talking about what amounts to a very small imposition that would actually allow us to open the states much earlier, because now we've done something, right? We've slowed the spread, which should be the goal, is looking for an exit plan. How do we slow the spread of coronavirus? Well, we're going to have to do things like we're going to have more masks. We're going to have more testing. We're going to have more tracing. But it seems to me that a lot of people who are saying that they want to open the economy are also saying we shouldn't wear masks. And, the testing is stupid. Coronavirus is a hoax. Bill Gates wants to kill your kids. It's a bunch of nonsense. And
no, it is. Yeah. And the other thing is the masks, to me, are definitely a way forward to open the economy in a phased, responsible manner. The first places that should open are places where they can wear masks. And quite frankly, I also think looking at the option of screening people as they walk into the business is something to look at as well. They have no contact thermometers that people can use. You can have someone observing people if they have symptoms and refuse them entry. And businesses can do that on their own anyway. They don't need the government's permission to do that. They can make that regulation themselves.